The most important thing you need to do, the first thing you need to do, it all starts with this one thing, and then everything else is built off of that. What's that one thing? Living below your means. That is the key to building wealth. That's the key to getting out of debt. Living below your means. Once you get into that mindset, and it is a mindset, because you're going to continue paying your bills and doing whatever you have to do. But if you just have a mindset of, I'm not going to spend everything that I make, and you save $50 a pay period or $100 a pay period, you will adjust to that level. And in the background, you will be paying off debt or saving money. Living below your means starts with self-control, adulting. It's just something you have to do if you ever want to get out of debt and or build wealth. It's what you have to do, and it's not that hard. Once you start doing it, like anything else in life, it seems like it's hard to start. It is hard to start. But once you start doing it and you make it a habit and you get into that routine and it becomes part of your life, it's just something that you do. How do you do it? How do you get started? How do you live below your means? It's an easy concept to understand, but it's not easy to do. It's not easy to put away that money and not touch it. But again, it's a mindset. So, actionable plan. What can you do to get started? What can you do to kick it off and to make it happen? If you're in debt, if you're not saving money, the first thing that you can do, and it's fairly simple, is an emergency fund. Create an emergency fund. This is money that you are not going to touch. You're not going to touch it for anything other than emergencies. An emergency is not, I'm going out this weekend and I need a new outfit. That is not an emergency. So an emergency fund can be $1,000. The important thing is that you set that aside and you don't touch it. And the way you start is you say, I'm going to save $50 a pay period, $100 a pay period, whatever it is that you can save. And then do not touch it for your wants. Do not touch it because you want to do something. That is for an emergency. And once you build up to whatever you said you were going to build it up to, that's when the real change starts happening. Because now you've got an emergency fund. Now you've got a little cushion. Now you got a little safety built into your life. You can kind of relax a little bit knowing that you have that. You've worked hard to build that, and now it's something that is going to take a little anxiety away from you because now you have a cash cushion. Now you have an emergency fund. So that same money that you were building up your emergency fund with, now you're going to start paying down your debt. If you have credit card debt, car payments, student loans, paying credit cards down is your biggest thing. That is a predatory interest rate that they're charging you. It's probably 25% or more if you have credit card debt, which is ridiculous. That's $250 a year for every $1,000 of credit card debt that you have. The same amount of money that you were using to pay into your emergency fund and build it up to wherever you want it to be, that is going to start going toward debt. And what you're going to concentrate on is not digging your hole deeper, not getting more into debt, but paying it off and getting rid of it. You want debt out of your life. Again, it goes back to self-control, self-discipline, being an adult. You can't have everything you want right now. You can have most things you want. I'm not saying give up everything. If you struggle to pay your bills, that's not a way to live. It's a stressful, anxiety-ridden way to live. And your life will be better when you get out of debt. You started living below your means. Once you did that, you were able to build up an emergency fund. After your emergency fund was built, you used that same money to start paying down debt. Now that your debt is paid down, you can start saving money. This is where your life is really going to change. When you're out of debt, life just gets easier. You're not running on a treadmill just trying to stay in the same place. When you're in debt, you end up paying for the things that you enjoyed years, months ago. When you're out of debt, you have the money to live your life, and then you also have the money to start saving for your future. And that's the difference between debt and savings. Debt is paying for your past. Savings is saving for your future so that you can have a better future. Needs versus wants is something else that we need to talk about. You need to be honest with yourself about your needs versus your wants. Needs are your utilities, your car payment, your rent, the things that if you don't pay, somebody's going to come and take something out of your life that you use. Very personal, very individual as far as what you spend money on as your wants. This video is not to tell you what to save money on and what not to save money on. That's your decision. But you have to make that decision if you want to change your life. And if you want to get out of debt, if you want to have money, if you want to have peace of mind of not worrying about how you're going to pay the bills, or if you're ever going to be able to retire, then you need to step up and make that happen. You're the only one that's going to make that happen. There's nobody in your life that's going to swoop in and save you and take care of your finances. It's up to you. You're the one that has to do it. You're the one that has to take the responsibility. And if you're struggling in life, it's probably not because you're in poverty level. It's probably because you're just not handling your finances as well as you could. If you fix your financial situation, your life will improve. And even though you might have less new things, less running around, less going out, you'll feel like you have more. Because when you cut out some of the non-essential things in life, you have more time for the things that are really important to you, and you'll enjoy them even more. I didn't start really saving until I was 50. I started a new job in my mid-30s, and I invested a very little amount into a 403b. I saved $70,000 in the first 14 years that I worked at this last company that I worked at. And then once I got serious about saving, in the next 6 years, I went from $70,000 to $500,000. And that's what I have semi-retired on. I don't really feel like I am fully retired yet. I don't know if I can get my expenses down to where I would be okay with not going back to work. I don't think so. I kind of see part-time work in my future, possibly even full-time work. I don't know. I'm only 56, so I still have a lot of time. And that's really what I feel is my safety. I mean, if I was like, I'm retired, I'm not going back to work, I would be nervous as heck about not having enough money. But I'm not, because my safety is go back to work. I could go back to work full time. I could go get a part-time job. I could work on a side gig or side hustle. I guess that's my safety that keeps me from worrying about finances so much, is because I know I can just go back to work. It's not really a big deal. Although after leaving my job and kind of looking at myself as being retired in a way, mini retired maybe, I don't really want to go back to work full time. It's too nice to have this much time. I think I will go back to work part time. I'm just not sure where it's going to be yet. The last thing I want to talk about is using a budget and tracking your spending. That is something that I never did on the month-to-month basis. I have tried to create a budget, and it's never really worked for me. What worked for me, instead of having a budget, was setting everything up to be automatic. So all my savings were just set up to be automatic. They automatically went in there. My payments, everything that I had to pay, my credit card payments, some of my utility bills, anything that I could set up as automatic, those all were set up as automatic too. Now, you can't do that, or you have to be very careful about doing that if you don't have enough money, if you don't have an emergency fund. My emergency fund, truck going by, actually a tractor. My emergency fund was just built into my checking account. I always kept $3,000 as a minimum in my checking account. As a matter of fact, I had one of those little reminders go off if I ever went below $3,000. So that was, my emergency fund was just kind of in my checking account. I always kept a minimum of $3,000. That way I could set up my automatic payments and not have to worry about being overdrawn on my checking account. Everything was just automatic. It relieved a lot of stress. I wasn't thinking about, oh, did I pay this bill? Is my credit card bill coming up? Did I pay this utility bill? I just, that's the way I did it. I was able to save money and pay my bills on time and not have any stresses about finances without creating a budget. But since I retired, I have started really tracking my spending. It all starts with living below your means. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter if you make $50,000 or $150,000 a year. If you're spending more money than you make, it's going to catch up with you eventually. You can only borrow so much money. Live below your means, build an emergency fund, pay off your debt, start saving money, live a good life. Thank you for watching. I hope that my ramblings are helping somebody to understand their finances better, or at the very least are entertaining for you. If you want to follow my journey, I'm going to keep making videos about my retirement life, my mini retirement, my early retirement, and I'll let you know what works, what doesn't work for me anyways. I'm having a good time making these videos. It's not easy to make these videos. I find the actual filming of it to be very stressful. I'm sweating right now. But the editing is fun, and coming up with the video and writing an outline and sometimes even a little bit of a transcript here and there. I find that to be extremely educational for myself. A lot of times when I make these videos, I don't really understand some of the things that I'm talking about, and I actually have to go do more research on it. So these videos are helping me, so I hope they're also helping you. All right. See you next time.